Hey everyone, my name is Chris Lambert. I co host the Kanye West podcast, Watching the Throne, and this is our YouTube channel where we talk about late breaking Kanye news and other Kanye related topics outside the podcast. So, in this video, we're going to be talking about the demo release of What Would Meek Do. It has some familiar lyrics that you'll recognize from the final version off of Daytona, but a lot of entirely new lyrics. So we're going to go through that line by line, just kind of look at what's there, and I'll provide some context and references to what some of the lines refer to. And then we'll compare it to what we actually got. So there's an article here from wrapup.com that kind of overviews the lead up to this demo. So you can see that last month there was a brief snippet that came out that let people know that this existed. And now a month later, we're getting what is the full verse. So the demo's right here with the lyrics, and you can see it already starts off very different. I'm the Don of Vuitton. I am the Sean of Sean John. Sean Puffy Combs, P. Diddy, somebody that Kanye really admires. So you get the classic Kanye nickname, Don of Vuitton, Louis Vuitton Don. But then with P. Diddy having been the head of Sean John, a clothing company that was successful, and Kanye now seeing the success of Yeezy, Kanye really is the Sean of Sean John. He's the Ye of Yeezy. And then you get the question mark, and then the familiar, I'm too complex for Complex Con. You heard Cole on that song, he was trying to hate. So that song that it refers to is this right here, False Prophets, which I made a video on last year, I think. Yeah, last year for sure. If you look in our channel, you can find it. Essentially, it's just me going over how shitty this song is. I mean, it can sound good. Some of the lines are great, but this first verse is all about Kanye. And it's just one of the most condescending things I've ever heard. And the second verse, some people try to argue that the second verse and maybe the third verse were also about Kanye, but it starts getting into other rappers that J. Cole has known and personal stories. This first verse, though, is all about Kanye, and it's just insanely insulting. And it's not something that Kanye's really ever addressed in public. So him actually saying, where is it? This is the one. You heard Cole on that song, he was trying to hate. Like, Cole really was trying to hate. Like, he just shits on everything about Kanye presently. When he tells us he a genius, but it's clear lately, it's been hard for him to look in the mirror lately. There was a time when this guy was my hero. That's the reason why his fall from grace is hard to take. And then he insults Kanye's wife and the family that he's around and his family that he's gained through marriage. And then nobody with the balls to say something to contest him, so he goes out of control. Like, J. Cole and Kanye don't have that kind of relationship where this would be somebody like I don't know, Jay-Z coming out and saying something like this, or Virgil Abloh coming out and saying something like this, where you're just like, ooh. Like, J. Cole is just an outsider saying the most, like, textbook shit that people outside of the dynamic see. I could go on about this for 40 minutes, and I think I have before. But yeah, I don't like that song. So Kanye, he was trying to hate, and they also have the reference to Charlemagne the God when he did the interview with Kanye in 2018, said that he said he feels J. Cole is always dissing him in records, which I think that the False Prophets was the first time that happened, but the recent J. Cole song in January of 2019, Middle Child, also did have a couple lines that seemed like they were directed at Kanye, which was, again, just like, dude, come on. So we got that. I'm out of touch. I cannot relate. So this is the section where Kanye's quoting other people. You can see it in this one. Everything Ye say cause a new debate. You see, he been out of touch. He cannot relate. So these are what people say in response to Kanye. And he takes a similar concept but applied it to Cole. Like, I'm out of touch. I cannot relate. These are the criticisms people throw my way. My hallway's too long. Bitch, too bad. Where am I at? I switched screens here. Got a surrogate. My kid gets two dads. How can one man take a company down? So this is a different part. after saying like my kid gets two dads. How can one man take a company down? I can see Nike contemplating that. So it goes from these things that people throw at him that bring him down to then Nike asking themselves like, how did Kanye manage to like dethrone us? Just that, which is Kanye kind of taking the criticisms and flipping it. Like, this is something else that people are talking about. They can criticize, but they also have to recognize that I've done this great thing. Like, bro, we're fucked. What's the best plan? And then he makes it a bit more comedic. I don't know, hire Ye's best man. So Don C, this Bustle article from September 1st, 2014, talked about the best man and maid of honor. Yeah, I couldn't remember the terms. It looks like West may have been turned down by his first choice of best man. According to reports, West asked Jay-Z to be the best man at his wedding. It hurts. An offer that Jay initially refused due to cameras that were supposed to film the wedding, which is still kind of wild to me. Like, Kanye at that point had been collaborating with Jay for a decade. They had gone on tour together, and while there were supposedly some tensions at the end of the Watch the Throne tour, this is still like Jay and Kanye. And they've known each other for over 10 years at this point. And for Jay just to be like, yeah, there are cameras there, I can't be your best man, that would feel like such a dagger to me. Yeah. But then he changed his mind, said that he would be the best man, and gave West an engraved diamond flask with a bottle of super expensive scotch. Yeah, that sounds nice. Scotch is amazing. Did I just advocate for drinking? Scotch is amazing if you're 21, okay? Is that good, YouTube censors? Okay. Apparently Jay-Z, yeah, so then Jay-Z backed out again, which we ended up finding out probably was because Beyonce found out about Jay's cheating and their marriage was close to falling apart, and Jay wasn't going anywhere, as he said on one of the songs from the joint album, The Carters. I talked about like, I'm not going anywhere when my marriage is like destructing. Like, I have to be there to fix that shit. So Don C, Kanye's longtime manager and who gets shouted out a lot, ended up being the best man at his wedding. And this also refers to Facts, where Kanye said, if Nike ain't have Don C, man, they would have nothing. Ooh. But I'm all for the family. Tell them get your money. So treading similar territory before, just about how even though Kanye's not with Nike anymore, his influence, his like connections, his people are still there. So there's still kind of a sense of ownership of Nike, or in this way that like, yeah, Nike, you're still reliant on me. Fuck off. Maybe get the question mark. Ricky came by unattended, sent Donda out in heaven up with Avery. A little more of a cluttered reference to what we get on the end song. That phone call from Ricky's still hazy when heaven got an angel named Avery. So this refers to Kanye's cousin, Ricky Anderson, who ended up going on Family Feud with Kanye. Here's his Twitter account. So back in 2017... yeah, it turned out that his son died. There's this case of like sudden infant death syndrome that happens where kids can just happened to Elon Musk, happened to Ricky here, which is such a shame. So Kanye just kind of giving a shout out to Avery, memorializing him in that way and connecting him to Donda. And by the way, Ricky had a second kid who's adorable. Avery still gets a shout out. So if you wanna give Ricky a follow on Instagram, here he is. But that's what that's referring to. Just kind of making that connection between Donda and Avery, showing that they're together. And then Kanye goes, "I be thinking what would Tupac do? You be thinking what New Kids on the Block do." We get that on the final version of the song. Something about Cribs on the Block 2. We got Cribs on the Block 2. Drizzy wearing Yeezys on the low, though, which I think might refer to a time that Drake shouted Kanye out on stage. I may be misconstruing memories or mixing up memories, But I feel like on stage one time, Drake was wearing Yeezys as kind of a sign of respect to Kanye. So here Kanye kind of shouts out that Drake's wearing Yeezys. And this is before, as Genius kind of lays out here, as of May 2018, before the feud with Pusha, Drake, Kanye, it was said that Drake was going to be signing a huge deal with Adidas, right? But then in the wake of Story of Adidon, was just like, fuck Adidas, fuck Kanye, fuck everybody that's affiliated with them, Nike, here we go, and off he went with Nike, which then led to all of that checks over stripes stuff and kind of the contention there that we got with Kanye tweeting at the end of 2018 about it. So this thing with Drake and Kanye and Yeezy and Nike seemed to even get started before Drake brought it up with checks over stripes. Kanye had mentioned it on Facts with Drake and Nike, and then here again wearing Yeezys. So I can see why Drake probably would have gone to that lane when trying to take shots back at Kanye. Just like, you want to bring up shoes? Let's bring up shoes. So only repping Nike for promo. The company growing faster than Flojo. Flojo was an Olympic runner who was very fast, gold medals. And we did it with no logo, just a reference to the fact that Nike has the famous swoosh, the famous Nike logo, the check. And Yeezy doesn't have anything like that brands them and kind of makes it iconic. Their shoes are the thing that makes them iconic. Kanye's the thing that makes them iconic. I don't feel right till I feel like Phil Knight, who is the CEO of Nike, going for 6 rings like what Phil told Mike, Phil Jackson, and Michael Jordan. So you can see that this is a little bit more scattered, but a lot of the same ideas are present. When you compare it to what we actually ended up getting, you can see how much tighter the flow on this is. And I think this might give some insight into what the process is for Kanye on these verses, that he might go into the studio and rap something like this off the top of his head, right? He's been working on it. He has these thoughts. He puts this down. And then once that's down, he goes in with maybe himself going and continuing to write it with people. Maybe he gives it to some other people to kind of go over and give suggestions about what he can do with lines. So you see that instead of starting with Donna Vuitton and Shana Shanjan, we get the poop, scoop, whoop, whoopity whoop, which refers to lift yourself and is much more tongue-in-cheek and silly, but is a definite response like, yay, how do you respond when people are talking shit? He does say poop, scoop. Like, it's a meme at this point. It's this trolling nature of his. So you have the first one, which is more like, yeah, I'm the Donna Vuitton. Like, when people are trying to like hate and talking shit, like, look how great I am. But he kind of changes that up and brings a different energy. But at the same time, it's still dismissing the haters. So you start in a very similar place. And then, am I too complex or complex con? Everything Ye say cause a new debate. So we remove the J. Cole line because maybe a bit too contentious, maybe a bit too pointed at somebody specific, and he just generalizes it. You know, everything I say causes a new debate, and we get the same lines coming through. Out of touch, cannot relate, hallway too long, bitch too bad. And then you bring up the Tupac and New Kids on the Block, which replaces everything with Nike. So it's a similar idea that Kanye's thinking ahead of everybody else, but he's just taking out the Nike references and keeping it more general. And then it's applicable not just to Nike or anyone, but just anybody that's on the opposite side of his point of view. So he's on that, what would Tupac do? While everybody else is New Kids on the Blocking. Less creative, less dynamic, more in the system of things, while he's breaking the mold. And then you get a little bit more political, a little bit more pointed, maybe a little bit more lyrical than what we had before. With if you ain't driving while black, do they stop you? Will MAGA hat let me slide like a drive-through? So just like this experience in black culture of driving while black and how the police treat you. And if Kanye is wearing this MAGA hat, does that suddenly erase all the racism that's directed at him? Is this get out of jail free card, which I think is a little tongue in cheek. And so many people were upset about Kanye and saying that he was outside the black community by supporting Trump, that here is just kind of a literal reminder of like, I'm still black and I'm still driving while black. Do you think this hat is going to make the difference? Like, you may say that I'm outside of the culture now, but I'm still very much having this experience of being a black man in America. And then you get a bit of a cleaned up line. That phone call from Ricky still hazy when Heaven got an angel named Avery. So much cleaner than Ricky came by unattended, sent Donda out in heaven up with Avery. And I think that's one of the things. Like, people would see that line and say like, okay, he wants to reference Ricky and Avery and giving a shout out to Avery and just clean it up, make it more emotional, more straightforward. The call was hazy because it's emotional, like, and Heaven got an angel named Avery. It's just cool to see the rough cut versus the final cut, I think. And I think that's inspiring for anybody, any kind of writer. I write fiction and poetry. That's my main thing. As much as we talk about Kanye, all of that's based out of my own work in narrative and writing and creative writing. And one of the things I tell people all the time, oh God, 16 minutes, I'm so sorry. One of the things I tell people all the time when it comes to writing is that the magic doesn't happen in the first draft. The first draft is just getting shit down on paper. And it doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be great. It can be really bad. The magic happens when you keep going over it and refining it, cutting, and just distilling everything down to the individual lines and moments that make you think, yeah, that's nice. I like that. And you string enough of those together and you have something that's going. So just to see the difference between the initial thought of like, okay, Ricky and Avery, I want to reference them, and having that cleaned up to this line that's just a very nice, like, honoring and like compassionate couplet. Like, that's cool to see. So if you're a writer, musician, anything, artist of any kind, draft away and let it be whatever. Get your ideas down and then refine and make them good. Okay. You got to watch Who You Callin' Crazy, Yeezy, the newest $1 billion baby. So there he kind of comes back to this idea, I'm the Don of Vuitton, the Shauna Shanjan, and the kind of battle with Nike. But again, it's cleaned up and presented in a more sanitized and positive way. That's like, yeah, I'm now the newest $1 billion baby, and it won't feel right till I feel like Phil Knight. Like, Yeezy's gonna get on that Nike level, and we're coming for you. So everything that he had said before is now kind of subtext, which has some power to it, but it's less something that you point at and go like, you're being a dick, you're being controversial. He can clean it up and present it in this way that's just powerful and has a lot of implication to it without outright attacking somebody or coming at it from a more critical point of view. Going for 6 rings, like what Phil told Mike, 7 pill nights, who knows what that feel like. So then we get that little bit of a undercut of something a bit more serious. That's not just bragging, look how great I am, but like, yeah, I take pills and sometimes things are problematic. There's just this vulnerability that comes in suddenly. No more hiding the scars. I show him like Seal, right? That vulnerability comes in again. And there's a whole conversation to have about how scars is a repeating motif over the course of the Wyoming projects. It comes up here, it comes up in Ye, it comes up in Kids See Ghosts, it comes up in Nazir, and then finally you get Teyana Taylor, the youngest of the group, the youngest of the artists, who's kind of coming in with this more reborn 20-year-old energy. What, she was 27 when the album came out, rather than kind of these guys in their 40s releasing music. So 30s pushes in his 30s. I just think that that's a cool dichotomy that you kind of see, like scars, and then reborn, and how that kind of goes along with a lot of what Kanye was talking about on Ye and Kids See Ghosts, that you can almost see that in the structure of the Wyoming albums. Anyway, how do you respond just is the final question and kind of puts a little cherry on the top of the line. So again, you can just see a lot of ideas presented in this, some cool moments, but it's so much more cleaned up in this version of it, which is why this is the demo and this is the final version. And with that said, if you're enjoying the channel, the easiest way to help us out is just liking and subscribing. That tells YouTube that this is content people are enjoying, and then they show it to more people. And once we're getting shown to people, that's when the channel really does well. So you're the mechanism by which that happens. So we appreciate any kind of liking, subscribing, watching other videos. If you want to support us with merchandise, we have these great shirts available. Ice cream cones inspired by the Kanye West album covers. Life of Pablo, Graduation, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, with phone cases and coffee mugs. There's a link down below in the description. And then we also have our podcast. We have over 300 episodes, with many being song analyses, going through Kanye's entire discography. We've covered every song on Kanye's main discography, with a season on Watch the Throne forthcoming. And then we also wrote a whole book on Yeezus. So if you enjoy line-by-line lyrical analysis and explanations of Kanye music and Kanye albums, this is the book for you. I guarantee you'll get a big kick out of it. And yes, I have bought it 6 times as I've sent it to various people. So if you want to support us, any of those methods are very viable and valuable. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay wavy, keep it loopy, and we will talk soon.